Today you're seeing my naturally air-dried curly hair in all of its form. And today I'm gonna show you how I blow dry my hair really nice and smooth. It's known as a wrap dry, and I'm gonna be using a flat brush. A flat brush is a little different than a round brush, where I'm going to be utilizing the round or the curve of my head to create a nice smooth blow dry. So I'm gonna go get my hair washed and shampooed, and I'll be right back. So let's get started. I've got my hair freshly washed, it's in a towel, and the first step that I'm going to do, or I'm looking a little bit crazy for you all, is I'm going to properly comb my hair out. Now you could use a comb like I'm going to, or you could even use a comb out brush like I've mentioned before. And I like to typically always start on one side so that way I'm not really tugging my hair too much, because depending on your hair type, it's in a very fragile state when your hair is wet. And if we tug on our hair too much, it might cause breakage. And given that I color my hair, it is a little bit more fragile than someone that doesn't, and my hair type is fine, so baby skinny little trees, and then my density is about medium. I did shampoo and condition. When I conditioned my hair, because I want to have a smooth look, I even applied my conditioner a little bit more to sort of the top of my head, but not right onto my root. So now that that's all combed out, I want to apply a little bit of product. Today I'm going to use Smooth Infusion, which is a product that's going to help protect my hair against humidity. It's also going to help smooth down the cuticle of my hair. And it's important that when you're taking product, that you evenly distribute it, and keep in mind that you have double the amount of hair at the back of your head than you do at the top. So I'm going to apply my product starting from the back, and then I'm going to work it through the ends and mid-lengths, and then with the very trace elements on my hands, I'm going to use that at the top. With this smooth, sleek blow dry, also known as a wrap dry or a flat wrap, it isn't really important that I know where my parting is, because I'm going to be directing the hair back and forth, and then I'll finally be placing the parting in my hair. So I do have a little bit of parting here right now. I'm just going to remove that. My choice of brush for my blow dry today is a vest brush. It's going to help guide the hair across my head, and because it has pretty good tension, it's going to help grip that hair as I'm doing that motion. A paddle brush for me, I have a small head, and with a paddle brush, I feel like I don't get enough tension on my hair. If I was to use a dressing brush like a Mason Pearson, I might find that I have too much tension and it's going to compromise my hair type. I'm not going to use a round brush. A round brush is utilizing the brush to form a shape. I just need a tool that's going to glide the hair over my head, because it's my head that's going to create a shape. So I've got my blow dryer ready. I'm using a nozzle to help direct the hair, and let's get started. So what I'm doing here is I'm blow drying my hair forward against the curvature of my head. Everything is going in one direction towards my face. And I'm coming all the way from the back, all the way to the front hairline, and working that one panel as I'm blow drying. And my blow dryer is really staying stationary, and it's the brush that's directing the hair as to where I'm going. As I come along the back, I'm changing directions, which is okay, because the concept is still the same, where I'm directing the hair around my head. When I blow dry up and down, it's because if I go too far to one side, it'll actually create a curve in my hair. So I'm going across and then down, across and then down. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm looking down. And when I look down, it utilizes the curve at the bend of your neck. And if you look up, your hair will actually kick out. So that is very important to be looking down. So it's usually at about this point that my arms get tired. So I switch it up and I alternate the hand that I'm holding the blow dryer and brush with. And then I do the exact same thing on the opposite side. And blow drying in the same manner, so going forward from back to my face or to the front. using the round of my head, which is actually called your parietal ridge, and then doing the same movement that I did on the opposite side. So blow drying my hair towards the center of my head and carrying it all the way around to my crown. So where a lot of people have growth pattern, by working back and forth there, it is gonna make it lay flatter. And I'm working seamlessly across. So there's no stopping or starting point. Then my arms get tired again, but that's okay because I'm gonna go now to the top of my head. So when I'm doing the top of my head, and you'll see some of my curl is coming out there, so I know that I need to focus in on this area. But when I go to do the top, I want to utilize the curve of my forehead. So what you're gonna notice is I'm gonna lift my chin and I'm gonna blow dry going one direction and then I'm gonna flip it around. What that does is it causes the hair to get confused and just lay flat. So let me show you. And for the top of my head, you can even see that sometimes it's not the blow dryer I move, it's my head, which is totally fine. And if it's easier for you, you can hold the blow dryer more stationary and move your head into the position of where you want to have that area dry. And I'm wrapping the hair all the way across, working from my crown all the way to the top of my forehead. And I like to keep my eyes closed, that way I don't have to worry about getting hair right in my eyes. Switching directions. My arms also tend to fatigue on the side that I hold the blow dryer. So when I switch arms, it means that one arm that gets tired, the other one's gonna be fine. And by working back and forward, the hair is gonna be confused. I'll be able to part it on either side and it won't matter. Blow drying the hair back, again, giving it another direction of where it's gonna get confused and just lay flat. And then I'm just repeating. I'm going back and forth, across, horizontally, then combing the hair back, really focusing, trying to remove any sort of wet spots. But again, focusing on the root, I'm not necessarily overly concerned about what's happening in the mid-lengths and ends, because that I know I can get straight with my flat iron. So this is where a lot of people would stop their blow dry, and unfortunately, this is when you're gonna get a lot of kinking in your hair if it's not completely dry. So I recommend just to go around and feel all over if you feel any sort of damp spots, because if you do, those damp spots are gonna be the areas that are gonna frizz up. So I can feel a little bit of moisture still in the back and the tiniest little bit in this area here. This area, because it doesn't wrap dry against my head super tight, I'm gonna be better off leafing my hair. What that means is I'm actually gonna place the hair on top of the brush and use the tension of the brush to smooth that area out. So I just use this in spots. I don't do it all over because it's uncomfortable and it's more like round brushing. I'm also being careful when I'm leafing, I'm not lifting the root area up at the top, because if I was to do this, I'm gonna get volume, and I don't want that look today. So far I haven't used a round brush. I've just gone in and I've leafed some sections that I needed a little bit smoother. But where I focused was to get the root really nice and flat, especially the areas of the head where my length isn't long enough to work on top of a brush. So for example, in the back, because my hair is so short, if I was to leaf it over, I might create this hair here to stick up, and I don't want that. Once I've gotten my hair to this smoothness, I like to refine it by using a flat iron. I don't use my temperature on my flat iron for my hair type above 360. If I go above that, it'll be too hot and I might create permanent damage to my hair. I'd recommend at home, make sure you have a comb and you also use some clips. When I'm clipping my hair, you'll notice that when I clip it out of the way, I clip the remaining hair against the round of my head. If I don't do that, and I clip the hair like so, what'll happen is my body heat will set this area and I'll just end up getting root lift where I don't want it. So make sure that you are being conscious of how you're moving your hair out of the way before you flat iron. The other thing that I do when I flat iron hair, which I would recommend at home, is I like to use the small teeth of my comb, and I'll insert the comb and I'll connect it to my flat iron. So they become like one tool. Section size really depends on how much time I have in the morning. If you saw me every day, you would see that my hair might not look as nice as I'm about to show you, because let's face it, we're all just people, right? So I'm trying not to pick up the previous section, because if I do, again, it's going to be a lot of heat. And when I'm gliding the flat iron over my hair, I'm trying my best to not create hot spots. So a hot spot would be where you leave your flat iron and you create a mark. So you can see as I go through towards the back of my head, my hand position changes. And I have to kind of do this borderline by feel. But if the back of your head doesn't look as good, people don't look there anyway. And then the last section along the top. For the opposite side, because I wear my hair on this side and there's more hair, I like to clip the top out of the way. Then I subsection, or I take smaller sections and I do the same thing on this side that I did to the other. So really, my flat iron and my comb become like one tool. And I don't have to worry about burning my fingers because my comb is holding the hair for me. As I work up the top, I like to take my sections this way. And in order for this area to lay flat, once again, I'm gonna kind of lift my chin and I'm gonna pull so that when that hair falls and cools, it's gonna fall on the curve of my forehead. And then I like to take just the last section right along the top where my parting is. And I'll just kind of bend the root area so that it'll follow the round of my head, and I'll take that down. I'll give it a once over, and you can see in the back here that it's still a little bit puffy. So I'll just section that off. And trying to keep my sections as clean as possible so that I don't repeat any of the same areas. If your hair is longer, what's nice when you go to do the top is you can really kind of just lift the mid-lengths and then pull the hair towards the front. Again, because my hair is pretty short, I have to keep my arms at the back. But if you have long hair, take them at the back and then slide forward. Take it at the back and slide forward. So from here, my last step is I like to take a smoothing product or something that's gonna make my hair nice and shiny. And with this shine product, I don't apply it right to the top of my head. I always start at the back. And then what's left over at the very end, I apply to the front. And there's the finished look. Let me know how it goes when you try these techniques at home.